My first slide is of a cloth wreath doll by Hope Crafts, who appeared with me at a show called Festival Noir that I produced for about 14 years in the Boston, Massachusetts area. These two dolls are hanging in the entrance to my home, and it's Welcome to Our Home, and it depicts my husband and I. They're two dolls that are made out of felt. This is a doll that kind of depicts Hope Crafts' daughter when she was probably about 2 years old, and she said she needed to have something to dress the doll in, so she used her daughter's clothing. I like the hair, and I also like the eyes that were painted on. The second doll was a gift from my Aunt Bertha, who helped me get started on collecting different types of dolls. This particular one came from a thrift shop. The three dolls in this picture, one is felt, one is porcelain, one is plastic. They also, as you can note, they have different hairstyles. The clothing, as I said, on the first doll was a doll dress that was made from a 2-year-old's outfit. The second doll was dressed by the designer of the doll, and the third doll that came from my Aunt Bertha was dressed by my daughter. She gave her an outfit from Osh Bagosh. My next doll is a cloth doll, and it's by Frances Smith, who's a friend that kind of introduced me to the world of dolls. One, as you can see, has cloth and is dressed by her in the kente cloth style, and the other one is a ballerina. My first collectible doll and my first doll is by the Jancy Doll Company, and her name is Abra, and I purchased her at the UFDC convention in Dallas, Texas, before I realized what UFDC was. So I went on public day. She is a doll with a kente cloth dress, smocking, and a kufi hat, and she is made out of wood. This is my Sojourner Truth doll by Floyd Bell. Floyd is a doll maker out of California. He's a retired school teacher, and all of his dolls are carved out of wood. Most of the dolls that he makes depicts certain African American people. He also is a member of NIADA and ODACA, as well as UFDC. This is my Nelson Mandela doll from South Africa. It was a gift from my good friend Jerry Robinson, who would travel to Soweto with a group of women from across the United States, and they would take cloth dolls to the area and present them to orphanages for children. This is a cloth magnet doll, and she's only about 6 inches, and the magnet is on the back, and she's done by the Sisters of California. That is the name of the company. These are Nimbelli dolls, and they are from Africa. And you can tell a Nimbelli doll because they are done very ornately, and they use beading, colorful beading on all of their dolls. And these dolls also are part of the fertility. These dolls are dressed by a company called the Nation of Boogaloo, and they're out of Newport, Arkansas. The heads of these dolls are made on a wood resin. The hands are also made by wood resin, and they're connected by a wire armature. The middle of the body is on a dowel stick, which is placed on a platform, and they are dressed in beautiful, colorful African cloth. They also have hair that is part of a heavy yarn. This is Marlene Thomas, Cookie's Creations, and she is out of Shirley, Massachusetts. And she does also uses the African cloth, kente cloth, mud cloth, and she uses yarn for the hair, and the face is painted, and she uses different patterns. This is another version of her dolls, and you can see that she goes from faceless to faces. Faceless, painted, and sculpted. Cookie also, should I say Marlene Thomas, does bottle dolls. This is a small glass bottle that is filled with sand and then decorated. And this was part of my Black Gold Doll Club 10th anniversary celebration. These are also bottle dolls, and these are from the National Black Doll Museum of History and Culture in Mansfield, Massachusetts. And these are made out of just plastic water bottles. And they are dressed in different colorful. The next doll is from the United Dolls of the World, and this doll was made in Denmark by Dan Hill Ballast. And she has beads also, and has the colorful African cloth. And then around her neck she has little pouches of leather squares. This is a Leo Moss reproduction. Leo Moss was the first, as we know, the first African-American male doll maker out of Macon, Georgia. And he started making dolls, I would say, probably around the middle 1800s, late 1800s. And you can notice his dolls because they started out happy, and then after a while, the story goes that one story is that his wife left him, and he tried to get her to come back, and he was unsuccessful, so all the dolls he made after that were sad and tearful. The other story is that he used to make baby dolls, and friends and family would come and want him to make dolls for their babies, and the babies would start crying, and of course the tears came, and that's how he ended up doing sad, tearful babies after that. And the dolls were made out of paper mache. These are two dolls by Linda Steele. I call them sisters. One seems as though she has a little attitude, and I'm assuming it's because she cannot find the rest of her animals. The second one kind of looks like me because she has green eyes and my eyes are green. And I liked both of them because they were made by Linda Steele. These are two dolls that were part of the UFDC convention in Detroit, and they were souvenir luncheon dolls. And he is standing on a record, I'm assuming, that was made in Detroit, Michigan, which is known for their rhythm and blues and rock and roll music. She was the companion doll for him. The next two dolls I have are part of the African Queen series. They come with a book and a CD. The first one that came out is Makeda. And as you see, these were queens that have a little story about how they came to be. And the second one is Queen Mother Ya Asantewa. And she also comes with a book and a CD. The next dolls I should say, by Robert Tonner. The first is a toddler doll that I acquired through a friend of mine named Sharon McCullough. The next is a fashion doll, and Robert has made lots of fashion dolls in different shapes and sizes and colors. He also makes them so that you can actually dress them. Byron Laws is a fashion designer out of New York City, and he has launched several Barbies that are dressed in some of his elaborate fashions. I have purchased Limelight Barbie, which was the first in his series, and I have acquired a couple of more. In the series there are probably about a dozen of his dolls dressed in various outfits. Goldie Wilson is another doll artist that has been creating one-of-a-kind, beautiful black porcelain dolls. They are for the eclectic collector. This is one that I received at a luncheon from her doll club in Baltimore. This is another one by Goldie Wilson called Leah, and she is dressed in what would be bead sacks or sacks of flour or cereal, and she just cut them up and redressed the doll, and the hair is made out of multicolor yarn, and the doll comes with her own little doll, which is made out of cloth with a painted face on leather. This is the last one that I purchased, Silver Queen by Goldie Wilson, and as you can see, the detail in the face and the decor in her outfits. The Little Rascals was part of a movie series back in the 40s, and I have two of the Little Rascals, Buckwheat and Steiny, and they are porcelain dolls. I also have two Scouts, and I used to be a Scout leader back in the day, and this is an F&B doll, which is the Brownie, and the Avon doll, which is the Girl Scout. And I didn't realize that Avon sold dolls. I used to be an Avon representative, but I found her in a gift shop that was going out of business, and was so happy that I could purchase her. This is my Tiger Woods doll and book, and as we know, Tiger was one of the youngest African Americans to play golf and will win several titles. I have about 3 or 4 other by him, but they're more or less a little bit smaller, and they come in a different kind of a case. This particular one is missing his golf club. I left it at home by mistake, but he is made out of porcelain. This is my Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali doll, who is animated in that he's a talking doll, and he says several phrases, one of which is, "I am the greatest. Fly like a bumblebee." I've had several offers on him, but I have decided I'm going to keep him. And he also comes with several books that are written about him. Here is another one of my sports figure dolls, and this is Michael Jordan, and he is missing his basketball, but he is one of our all-time favorites. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I have a doll that was made by the Ashton Drake Company, and it comes with a glass backdrop that has the speech, "I have a dream." President Barack Obama by Mary Washington. Mary Washington is a doll maker out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and she does most dolls that have to do with historical African Americans, and this particular one is of Barack Obama, and I was able to get him through the helpers at the UFDC convention, and I was pleased to find out that out of the 26 dolls that she made, I had doll number 2 that comes with a certificate. The other doll that I was able to receive at one of Mary's conventions was Mary McLeod Bethune, and I was happy to get her. I loved her outfit, and she also is made out of a wood resin. Annie Lee is, or should I say was, a famous painter out of Chicago, Illinois. She also turned her paintings into figurines, and before she passed, she took to making dolls, but the dolls that she made had no faces. They came in a slender doll and a full-figured doll. She made 5 of each. So there were 10 dolls all told. And they also came with different hairstyles and shades. These are examples of 2 of the dolls from Annie Lee's Sass and Class. As you can see, their dressing is very kind of what I would call fancy. They also are dressed with jewelry and kind of fancy strap shoes, come in either gold or patent leather. Pearls are also prevalent in a couple of the dolls. I really like them. These are my 2 Maggie head dolls, and they are made out of a heavy porcelain. And this is Nicodemus and Sharon. And Nicodemus has overalls, etc. And he has painted nails and toenails, as does Sharon. And they were made in 1996. Now, the next dolls that I have are by Jean Henderson. And Jean is from Maryland. And she started making dolls that were not gourd. They were just, regular dolls made out of porcelain. And she went into business with her husband, who was an upholsterer. And she made the dolls, and he made the upholstered chairs for them to sit on. And then a couple of years ago, she decided to kind of change a little bit, and she went into making gourd dolls. Now, if you don't know what a gourd is, it's a form of squash. So it has kind of a rounded bottom and tapered up the top. So this is perfect. And then she would put a little wooden head on the top. And she dressed them in all different colors, etc. And then she also made the chairs. And that is made out of wood. And then she has ceramic around the seating and beads. My next dolls that are different are wax dolls. And they also come in 2 different shades. The one on the left kind of looks a little bit like me when I was younger. It has freckles, and it has kind of a sandy color hair. And the one on the right is a reminder, looks like Little Red Riding Hood. I use the doll with the freckles and the sandy hair as my Facebook image. She looks like me when I was much younger, even though my freckles have all but disappeared. Next we have the American Girl Addie with her doll, and this is one that I have redressed in one of her outfits, and she also has on horn-rimmed glasses. And there's a little book that also comes with this. The American Girl doll came out with Cecile, who is an African American, and Grace, who was white, and they were friends in New Orleans. They both came with books talking about their friendship, but they have since retired both of the dolls, which makes them unavailable. This is a Barbie by Bob Mackie, and he has taken it one step and gone into making it an African dressed Barbie. It's very colorful, and one of the tribes of Africans had neck bands, and Bob Mackie has taken this one step beyond and has taken the neck band and made it into a circular necklace. These are some of my African Barbies. I'm showing two. One is the Princess of Africa, and she's dressed in the colors of Africa, and she has the neckband necklace. The second one is from Ghana, and she has kind of the kente-cloth, colorful reds, greens, and yellows, and she has an African head wrap. The dolls that I have are called Applehead dolls, and they were dolls that were made back during slavery time. And I'm assuming that they were made by slaves who did not have items or dolls to give to their children, so they made the dolls. And they were made, like I said, out of apple heads, and the clothing that they were dressed in was provided probably by the leftover scraps that they used to make clothing for the families, and also curtains and drapes. So they used everything. This is another cloth doll that was made back in the day, and this is a walnut head doll. They also made dolls with pecan heads, walnut heads, and then used the materials that they had that was available to them at the time. This is a clothespin doll, and it's actually a pin. And my doll club, every once in a while, we do a craft item, and this is one of the crafts that we do. I wore one to an exhibit that we did with some young junior collectors. And one of the young ladies, who was around 11, came up and said that she liked my pin. So I took it off, and she said, "Oh, it's wood." And I said, "Yes, it's a clothespin." And she looked at me as if to say, "What?" She did not know what a clothespin was. Well, of course, we don't use clothespins anymore. And the only clothespins that we see now mainly are in craft stores, and they're actually much smaller than the ones that we're used to having. These are some more of my wooden dolls. The two on the left depict how slaves used to dress with different types of material. Always had an apron because they were either cooking or washing or whatever. And the one on the right is made of wood, but it's also jointed so that the arms and legs move. This is another version of wooden dolls, and this is by Core January out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And the dolls that he makes mostly have square heads, but he does all the carving himself. and you can see pictures of him in trees. He's cutting down the wood that he uses. Nora Welling dolls are made by the namesake Nora Welling, who is out of England, and they are made out of a velveteen material. And they come in different sizes. I happen to have 2 smaller sizes. The other thing that you notice about Nora Welling, that the majority of her dolls, you can tell they're hers because she has a little name square on the bottom of the foot of each one of her dolls. It says Nora Welling. Most of the dolls were made as souvenir dolls when you would go to one of the islands. These are 2 what I call brother and sisters, and they were handcrafted by Grandma Howell. I purchased these at a doll show, and the faces are embroidered, the eyes, the lips, and they also have fingers on the dolls. This is from the Daddy Longleg series. This is a small angel, and the angels, they had probably about 7 or 8 in the small size. This is Nettie by Daddy Longlegs, and Daddy Longlegs dolls were based on people from the South, and they were made out of a wood resin. The base was a block of wood, and then they would attach the arms by taking a piece of material and attaching it to the hands and the feet. This is Monica Angel by Daddy Longlegs, and she has removable wings, and I have her sitting in my fireplace, over my fireplace at my living room. These are 2 dolls by Edith Schmidt. They are cloth, except for the face, which is cloth, but underneath the cloth is a porcelain, and she has taken the cloth and molded it over the face and painted the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. This next doll is by Wendy Barber, who I had the pleasure of doing a show in Raleigh, North Carolina for Dolls Magazine. And I have adopted this doll because it is the doll that we use for the Black Gold Doll Club of New England. This is our signature doll. Wendy Barber also has a blog. This is a Burdine Creedy doll, and she's dressed in yellow and black, which we use this doll for our signature doll for the junior collectors called the Bumblebees. And as you can see, if you look closely, there are bumblebees all over the dress, and her pocketbook is a bumblebee. This cloth doll was given to me by a friend who is an antique dealer, and the tag on the doll said that it was made by a 101-year-old World War I veteran, and it was made in a nursing home. I'm not sure what year it was because that was not on the tag. This doll is by Lorna Miller Sands, And she first started out making baby dolls, and then she had some children, and she decided that she was going to go the toddler route. And this is made out of cernic. This doll is named Hannah, and she is written about in this book called Daisy and the Doll. And it's about a young lady and an assignment that she had in school. I found out that it was also written about Daisy Turner, who actually lived in Vermont, and I found out that I knew her relatives that lived in my town of Medford, Massachusetts. And Daisy lived to be 102. Here we have First Lady Michelle Obama in her book Michelle Style, and she is dressed in her first and second inaugural dresses. These were both designed by Jason Wu from Integrity Toys, and those of us in the doll world are familiar with Jason because he started out his career by dressing dolls. These doll dresses have become very popular and have been styled by other individuals. They are beautiful, and if you look, they represent red, white, and blue. President Barack Obama doll I have, and I also have his books, The Audacity of Hope, and also Kids' Letters to President Obama. I really enjoy having him in my collection, and I have him usually placed between Michelle in the white and Michelle in the red gowns. It makes for a very presidential looking picture. Misty Copeland Barbie and book was presented to me by a club member and Misty Copeland is the newest member and the first African American ballet dancer to the American Ballet Company. The book she has written is about Firebird, which is the dance that she performs for the American Ballet. I am very happy to have her in my possession, and hopefully one day my granddaughter, who is taking ballet lessons, will become a Misty Copeland. Well, we have come to the end of my program, but the last doll I'm talking about is the American Girl Willie Wisher doll, and her name is Kendall. Kendall is the newest series that has come out through the American Girl, and there are at least 5 dolls of just different nationalities. I chose the African American young lady. I am now bringing this program to a close. I hope you have enjoyed what you have seen. Thank you.